Well, today on A Grateful Hearth, we've looked at 3 houses and disaster. All that and more in just a few minutes. Well, at this point, we've looked at 4 houses. I think we've turned the corner on. We're going to do this. There's a question on how fast or which is the right house, but we've turned to the corner to at least, hey, look, let's go physically go to these places, and is this the house? Is this where we're gonna homestead? And the first one was in LaSalle.
Yep.
Which is, if you're familiar with Northern Colorado, it's in Northern Colorado, kind of around the Highway 85 area. And 16 acres, had a lot of land. It was great. The house was a modular. What'd you think?
It was okay. It needed some updating. I don't mind a modular home, but it's a pretty old one. It hasn't had any updates done to it in a while. It has an unfinished basement, which is a plus, but then we'd have to finish it and find the money to do that. There's nowhere for you to work in that house. There's no office space. You'd have to build one pretty quick in the basement.
Yeah.
Really great shop. Really good garage and shop and greenhouse.
Oh man, it was a 2 or 3 car, and then a single car, and then another workshop,
and then a heated greenhouse, all in one big building.
And it wasn't just heated; it had a fan for ventilation in the summers too.
Yeah, it was nice. I liked that, and the barn had water and electricity, which was really good. That's the Boston tour.
Thanks, Rosie.
It was okay. It had a LaSalle address, but I think that's a stretch. It was really far out from LaSalle.
Yeah.
Really far out, and it was surrounded by oil fields.
It really wasn't in any of the nearby cities. Like you wouldn't give that direction to somebody, and they'd say, "Oh, you live in."
Yeah,
because it's just kind of out there,
kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is fine. But I mean, it's kind of an L-shaped property around it, completely surrounded by oil fields.
Yeah.
At least 3 or 4 right up against the property, which...
and gas wells.
Yeah. Which is common in northern Colorado, but maybe not what I'd choose to live next to.
I like that it had a nice large barn. And it was a drive-through barn. They hadn't really done a lot inside.
No, set up for horses.
Yeah.
Lots of stalls.
No, and it was a steel pole barn.
Yep.
So, it should have a pretty good long life, and there's a lot that we could do inside. But, I don't think it felt like the place.
It didn't. No, it didn't.
What's your biggest challenge with it?
The biggest challenge?
The one that made you just walk away.
It needs some work.
Yeah.
And it needs at least one room put in the basement for you to work. And at the amount of money they want for it, we just aren't going to have enough money left in the budget to do any of the work.
Yeah, and I can't homestead full time.
No.
I've still got to work to help make this possible for all of us. So I've got to have an office right away, and this would be the 3rd house where I kind of move my desk just into an open, unfinished basement.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to do that, but if we're buying something that's kind of at the top of our price range, and honestly, that place is a little overvalued to begin with.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a stretch to then say, okay, we're going to turn around, we're going to spend the money, we're going to put more money into it. And oh, by the way, until you put this money in and the time in and the weekends in and all that other stuff, you're not going to have a place to work. You're going to be in this open, cold basement with no climate control.
In the middle of winter.
In the middle of winter, trying to do your work. And I spend a fair amount of time on camera for work, unfortunately.
It's true, too. People will be like, what's behind you over there?
Pretty much nothing. That is the water softener. Fantastic. Would you like an education on water softeners? Not so helpful. Okay, so we did look at that one. The same day, we went to another property. Actually, it was a week ago, wasn't it?
It was
it?
2 weeks ago.
No. I don't know.
So.
Uh-oh. Time's getting away.
Yeah,
all right.
Because a week ago we went to that disaster.
Okay.
So it was 2 weeks ago.
We'll talk about the disaster in a minute. Okay, so same day, we went to another property.
Yes.
Property further north.
Yeah.
And a little further, I think, east.
A little bit.
A little bit further
Just a little
east.
bit.
Yeah, okay. So it ranch style house, had a finished basement, and it had a barn on the property with an adjoining workshop.
A massive barn.
Yes. However,
I don't think we would ever use that.
All right.
That whole.
I figured this out. We'll put the overlay up for you. I figured this out. That barn is more than 300 feet away from the house. That is quite a walk to the barn.
It's far from the house, and it's much larger than we need.
Yeah.
And it's set up for horses, so it's missing the whole wall. It's just 3 walls.
I don't think expansion room is a bad thing, or having excess space is a bad thing. But I was this is the city slicker coming out. I think I was not expecting the missing wall. I'm like,
no, did
they just not finish the barn?
Yeah, and we don't know a whole lot about horses. Do you know why? Because I don't really know why.
Well, it's intended to be kind of an inside-outside kind of barn that provides shelter. But you just put up that pipe fencing, and now you can, set up some horse stalls. But, for what we're doing and how we'd use it, it's not the best setup. We'd probably want to enclose some space in the future where we're thinking about dairy cows and things like that. But honestly, I still see a huge amount of potential. That is a gigantic barn.
It is a really big barn.
I think I figured it out to be about 120 by 40. That is a massive barn.
Yeah, it's a really
and it's T-shaped. And on that T is actually an enclosed space. Right now, I think they've got some livestock in it, but it could also be a nice indoor heated workshop area.
For sure, definitely.
Got a garage door on one end, which is nice. But the house... Okay, it was nicer than the LaSalle place. But it didn't seem like it's 100% fit either. What's missing?
It's a little bit small. They finished the basement, which is great. That gives us more living space. But the bedrooms are small. The bathrooms are small. The kitchen is small. Yeah. Not terribly small, but smaller than what we're used to. We'll definitely have to adjust to that.
Right.
There's really no mudroom, which, if you're going to be out walking in mud, you're going to need somewhere to drop your boots.
Yeah, mud's everywhere.
Well, yeah. But I don't want it in my house. No. There's no mudroom, which is unfortunate. You can work around it. And...
nice master bedroom.
Yeah. It's okay.
Each kid would have their own room. We've got 3 kids, so it's 4 bedrooms.
It's 5 bedrooms.
5 bedrooms. That's right.
An office for you in the basement. There's no storage in that house either.
Oh yeah, that was a challenge.
They finished the whole basement and didn't leave any storage room down there. So all our storage would be out in the garage or the massive barn. Hey, you could build me a storage room in the massive barn.
Great homeschool room though.
Yeah.
We know where my office is going to go right away, or we think we do.
We could.
We'll probably have to take another look at it, but the one other thing I wasn't quite sure of, and I'm still not, is one of the kids is going to have to go downstairs.
Yeah. Or
So-
they can share room upstairs.
Could be an adventure. It could be a little bit of a harder adjustment. We'll see.
She insists she wants to be in the basement, so we'll
No.
see.
We will see. I did like the kitchen though.
It's a nice
I did.
kitchen.
And
It's
the
not
pantry
huge.
is bigger than ours.
The pantry is bigger than
Yes.
ours. That's not
It's
hard
not
to do.
hard.
Our pantry is minuscule.
Yeah. Speaking of which, your canning stuff not in the pantry. Where's your canning stuff right now?
In the basement.
In my coffee space. Yeah. Honestly, though, I think in the new place, we would probably have to figure out some sort of cold storage.
Yeah. No, that's down the road. I think just
Yeah.
storage in general, like all those pantries we have in this basement, there's nowhere to put that stuff in that other house. We'd have to figure out storage. I think we'd have to figure out some fencing.
Yeah.
For the dogs, especially, and that crazy toddler of yours.
Yeah.
He's gonna need a fenced-in yard of some sort just to be safe.
The other thing that I noticed is, speaking of the crazy toddler, there's no yard.
No, in either of those houses.
It's kind of scrub. Well, yeah, in both houses.
I think that's kind of how it goes when you buy a house out in the country.
Yeah.
There isn't a yard. You can put one in, or they can just play in the scrub.
The first house, the one in LaSalle, kind of looked to me like a tumbleweed farm, right? I mean,
Definitely.
but the second one reminded me more like the Dust Bowl images that I grew up with in school.
Maybe.
You know, way back.
It's
in the day.
surrounded by farms, which
That's
is nice,
true.
and it's right next door to an orchard.
Yes.
No oil fields or gas wells in sight.
Hey, that could be really nice for growing our own trees.
It could be. It'd be nice. It's
So we went to those two first.
yeah.
And then we decided, you know what? Real estate in northern Colorado is expensive. Like, it's way more expensive than I remember. And at first, we were really thinking, you know, maybe now's not the right time. Things are too expensive. Maybe it's a bubble. And then as we started kind of looking at what's going on in the marketplace, you know, the basement downstairs I built, and I built in two different parts.
Mm-hmm.
We also built a basement in our old house, and the one before that. So we've done a few of these at this point.
Yep.
When I did the first part of the basement here, 2x4s were $2.50, $3.
If that.
When I did the second part of the basement, they were already up to $4.50 or so. I went today and looked, and depending on the kind and the type and the grade, they're between $6 and $8 right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we talked to a builder.
Yeah. Yeah.
To look at how much it would cost to just buy a property, like an empty lot, and put a house on it. And it's $300 a square foot.
I
$300.
don't even have words. It still seems just
What do
amazing
these
to me.
people do for a living that
I,
they can afford to buy
look,
that?
I'm blessed. I've got a nice job. I can't complain. I thank God every day for the blessings. And even so, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
where do they
it's-
get money?
It's very expensive. So we checked that right off the list. We can't do that, especially with
No.
pouring a basement, getting a well, or tapping
Oh,
into
the
water.
permits.
The tapping into water is like $50,000.
Yeah.
Electricity.
$200,000 for, you know, a handful of acres of land. I think one of the
Yeah.
properties we looked at was 8 acres. Almost $200,000.
Yeah.
And then $60,000 in permits.
And then $300 a square foot for your house.
Yeah.
It's just that we're not going to do that.
No.
So then we went and looked at
A project
The
house.
project house.
Okay. All right.
That was a good plan I had though. If we could get it
Yeah.
cheap and pour like 100,000 into it and make it, you know, fix it up, then we could do it within our budget and afford it.
No. So we got to $100,000 in work before we even left the ground floor.
Oh gosh, it was terrible.
Oh.
It was so bad that we had to get our kids out of there. It wasn't safe. They had live wires hanging out of the wall.
Yeah.
Every window was broken.
You walk downstairs to the power panel. The power panel is literally sitting, like the panel itself is sitting over there with the wires just sticking out.
It
was bad.
There was a chunk of that house that you could look up one wall, across the ceiling, and down the other wall, and there was like a gap that was like 2 inches.
Floor.
It was like a whole section of the house detached and fell 2 inches, and they duct taped it. They duct taped that, no problem.
Literally white duct tape. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was just No. I think you could put 200,000 into that house and it still wouldn't be enough to fix it. It needs to be leveled.
We didn't look at 4 houses. We looked at 3 houses and a disaster. So we, you know what though? I gotta admit, you would have gotten a free boat and a free hot tub out of the deal.
No, that boat was just over the property line. It was in someone else's property. But there was a hot tub in the middle of a field.
I don't think it's
completely
rescuable.
Hooked up to nothing. Probably full of critters and mud.
All right, no hot tub for us, I guess.
Not that hot tub.
No. Okay, we did look at one other property.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. Off of just east of Windsor, I think. Technically, I think it's still Greeley.
Oh, I forgot all about that house.
Yeah.
I did. I liked that house.
All right. The house was a little older. Now, all the other properties we looked at were built in the 90s or later. Some of them significantly later. Some of them as late as 2012.
Yep.
This one was a bit older. It was from
76,
the 70s.
I think, which is the year my parents got married.
But if you had looked at the kitchen, you'd never know that.
No, they redid it, and they did a nice job.
It was a very nice kitchen. I have to say the renovation they did to that area was beautiful.
Big bedrooms. Really big bedrooms.
Nice size.
The kids would have had to share a room, but the rooms were so big that I didn't think.
Yeah, that was one of the downsides with only 4 bedrooms, and it's a split level.
Yeah.
So from the perspective of the listing, the basement is finished. But the reality is that it's really just kind of an up and down, and you've got a couple bedrooms and a couple bedrooms. I'd probably have to take one of the downstairs bedrooms as my office, which leaves us with 3 workable bedrooms, 2 for the kids and 1 for us. Look, we could have made that work, though.
Definitely. And it had a lot of living space. It had the laundry room in the middle of the family room, which was a little different. Yeah. But it was only on 2 acres.
They give you incentive to do the laundry.
Probably not. They probably just tell people not to look in that corner. Just don't look at that. You know me. Nothing can make me want to do laundry.
Nothing makes anyone want to do laundry.
But only 2 acres.
Yeah. And
the garage/barn thing was really in rough shape.
Yeah.
And the zoning wasn't right. It's zoned residential, so you can only have 2 animal units.
So we had a voyage of discovery about the wild Weld County, Colorado science of animal units. Apparently with agriculture, the animal units are tied to your acreage. And then there's animal math, which I've heard of chicken math. Apparently this is fairly similar. But instead of multiplication, it's figuring out what kinds of animals you want and how many of what you can have.
Yep.
1 cow, 1 animal unit.
50 chickens.
50 chickens, 10 goats.
6 pigs?
5 pigs.
5
pigs.
Those are all 1 animal unit. So on that property, we could have 2 animal units. So we could have 50 chickens. I don't know why I would want that many chickens, but we could. And 5 pigs, and that's it.
Yep.
Or any combination of those 2 animal units. But everyone around there had more than 2 animal units.
Yeah, I think that there was some definite bending the rules, and here's the challenge. We could go there, and we could buy 5 pigs and 10 chickens and 2 goats and 2 cows. And first of all, it'd be a little crowded because the
'cause it's
overall
only 2
lot
acres.
size was, I think 2.5 acres, something. And that was one of the real challenges from my perspective. It really would have been a ceiling right off the bat.
Yeah, and if you break the rule of 2 animal units, everyone around there is breaking it, and nobody cares. But it just takes one dude to move in, and he doesn't like your chickens, and he complains to the county, and pretty soon you got to give up one of your animal unit.
Which sounds stupid. Who's going to complain to the county? It just takes that one person to move in.
One grouch
that's got nothing else to do but go to war over stupid chickens.
Yeah. So I think we scratched that one off the list. It's a nice house, and I like the location for sure. It's really close. But I don't want to be constrained to how many animals I can have. I don't even know how many animals I want. I might only want chickens and nothing else. But I don't want to be constrained on what we can do.
So, 4 houses we've physically gone to.
Yes.
How many listings have you looked at this point?
8,072,000.
Yeah, we've even looked at real estate in Alabama and Missouri and North Carolina.
But I don't want to move away.
No.
I like it here. This is where our people are.
Absolutely.
I keep my people over finding a homestead.
All right, so we've struck some off the list. The disaster is definitely off the list. That's a note.
That was off the list before we even left that property.
We had looked at property and a semi-custom and then kind of building some outbuildings over time.
And that's a no.
That's a no. The outbuildings were affordable, which I was fascinated
they're not
by.
as expensive as I expected.
The house, though, just too expensive to build right now. Building materials, construction.
That's off the list. We can't afford that. The 2-acre one, I think just not enough acres, not the right zoning. The LaSalle one, too expensive for what it needs.
I mean, for me, that's still on the back burner, but it'd have to come way down in price. Okay, not on the list. No. Which leaves us one that's still on the list.
The alt house.
Yeah, and we've looked at one other that's kind of east of there and a little bit south.
Yeah, we haven't gone to it. It's priced pretty high.
It is,
but
priced pretty high.
It's been on the market since April, and they haven't changed the price. So I feel like maybe they're really hanging on to that price.
Well, and it's less acreage, considerably
it's 5
less
acres, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what we end up doing. And it looks like a nice house, but we haven't been there. It's something to think about.
So we've got a detailed showing coming up in a few days.
Yep.
Church tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We're gonna keep working on recovering from Christmas.
Gosh.
There's cleanup to do all over the house. It was a great Christmas. Merry Christmas, by the way.
Yes. And who knows, maybe now that Christmas is over, some other houses might come on the market. I watch those listings like a hawk.
Yeah.
So, there is not a house for sale within 25 miles of here that I don't know intimately.
Yeah.
So maybe something new will come up too that we can check out. You never know.
At the same time, I've started writing our own listing. We got to start working on that side of things.
I don't want to put the house up for sale.
Uh-oh.
Such a pain in the butt.
It is a big pain in the butt. Well, more to talk about that on that soon.
Yes.